Hey guys, and welcome back. Today I wanted to record a video talking about some of the habits that we are creating and building in the FLOW90 challenge. So I created FLOW90 to be like the 75 hard but a soft challenge that is helping women balance their hormones and alleviate hormone-related symptoms. So these are small habits that create huge change when we do them consistently and we build them into our lifestyle. Obviously, at Maria, we have our PMS elixir, which is our supplement that supports hormone balance. But these lifestyle changes and these lifestyle factors really only amplify the results that you will get from good nutrition and supplements and all of the things like that. So FLOW90 is my way to bring you that education on these other things that we can do and implement that are totally free and truthfully really easy to build habits with. So today specifically, I want to talk about some of the habits that we're building within the FLOW90 challenge that are based around balancing blood sugar. And so balancing blood sugar can be, and maybe you've heard of this before for hormone support, but kind of buzzy and you're like, what does that even really mean? So today I want to share some of the nitty-gritty around balancing blood sugar and why these habits are going to be absolutely game-changing. So the habits that relate to blood sugar balance, let's talk about those. And if I'm looking down, I did make some notes. So, okay, there are 12 total objectives for the day within the FLOW90 challenge. Those are these here. And the ones that are more directly related to blood sugar balance are the strength training 3 days a week, the walk after a meal once a day, morning sunlight, eating at least 100 grams of protein daily, the savory breakfast before coffee, and the multivitamin or taking the PMS elixir daily. So first, let's talk about what is blood sugar and what is blood sugar balance. So when we eat food, it goes into our system and our body turns it into glucose for energy. So when it turns it into glucose, we then have insulin, which is a hormone in the body that transports that glucose into the cell. So the glucose is that key into the cell to store or create energy. So hopefully that makes sense. But basically what happens is when we eat, say we eat a really carb heavy meal, we wake up and we have a bagel, and then for lunch we have a sandwich, and then for dinner we eat a big pasta dinner. Our blood sugar is like crazy high for that day because carbs translate directly into sugar or glucose. And I love carbs. There's nothing wrong with carbs, but we can eat carbs more strategically so that we aren't making our blood sugar a hangry monster. So basically when we eat a lot of carbs, what we've done is create this instance where we are bringing on or activating a lot of insulin in the body to carry that to our cells. So that can create insulin resistance because we then become like immune or non-responsive to our insulin, and that glucose is just getting stored and turned to fat, and it's no longer becoming good quality energy for us. There's just too much blood sugar in the system. Our insulin is no longer balancing it well, and we're becoming desensitized to the insulin itself. So that's where it can lead to type 2 diabetes. So on the other spectrum of that, which I am very guilty of this, I think being a high functioning person, or if you can get very focused, almost like ED brain, and like you get like zoned into things, skipping meals. So skipping meals actually creates low blood sugar, which can then increase cortisol. So it's creating a stress response in the body, triggering cortisol, and then we create an insulin sensitivity because we aren't utilizing that insulin. We don't have that energy, And again, just wreaks havoc on the body. So those are kind of the two spectrums. And you can imagine that if you skipped a meal, you have low blood sugar, and then you go and eat a really carb-heavy meal, and your blood sugar goes up. Honestly, if you eat anything after having skipped a meal, you're gonna start that roller coaster. So it's like immediately like, so how does this impact hormones? Okay, well, we already talked about cortisol, and I think many of us may know that cortisol, while it can be a positive thing, because when we exercise, we create cortisol in the body, which does create somewhat of a positive stress response. Cortisol overall kind of wreaks havoc on our hormonal system. So when we have excessive cortisol, we are doing things to our hormones like suppressing progesterone production. And if we have suppressed progesterone production, then we know that our progesterone to estrogen ratio is going to become imbalanced. So oftentimes it's not like, oh, my estrogen is too low. It may just be that you have enough progesterone, but your estrogen is too high, so that ratio between the two is off. Or your estrogen might not be high, but your progesterone is just super low, so again, that ratio is off. But an increased cortisol, so if you are someone who consistently skips meals, or you are on a blood sugar roller coaster and cortisol is increased, suppressed progesterone production could be one of the things that you experience in terms of creating hormonal imbalance. So when progesterone is lower, we experience things like short luteal phase, so luteal phase defect. We have an entire podcast that we did with Nicole Jardum, who's an amazing menstrual wellness coach, talking all about luteal phase defect. So I will link that down below. You might experience spotting, PMS symptoms, fertility issues is a huge one because we must have enough progesterone to build up the uterine lining. So when we have suppressed progesterone production, what happens is that there is not enough uterine lining for that egg to actually embed in our wall. So the pregnancy isn't quote unquote sticking. Other things that can happen with crazy cortisol fluctuations, increased cortisol, blood sugar dysregulation. PCOS is a very, very common one. So if you are a PCOS girly, you might experience like very painful periods, acne. There's a lot of like testosterone play with PCOS as well. Another thing that can be affected is ovulation, and we know that high stress affects ovulation, and we see this a lot in athletes because of over-exercising and them losing their period or becoming anovulatory, meaning they're not ovulating. And when we aren't ovulating, we're not fertile, meaning we have really long periods, really heavy periods. We cannot get pregnant if we are not ovulating. Ovulation is the key signal of health for women. So that's kind of the background on blood sugar balance and how it can impact your hormones. So some of the symptoms that you might experience with blood sugar imbalance is cravings, energy issues, mood changes, fatigue, brain fog, any cognitive kind of like dizziness or inability to focus, lack of motivation, trouble sleeping, weight changes, skin issues, digestive issues. Like, I know you're saying like, those are all of the symptoms, Monica. Yes, blood sugar is so crucial because it does play hugely into where we're getting our energy, but as well as that cortisol production. So what are some of the things that we can do, and why are these habits in FLOW90 things that support blood sugar? Let's talk more directly about those. Maybe starting with the 100 grams of protein a day. So ideally, I would say that the kind of blanket suggestion for protein intake is 1 gram of protein per pound of ideal weight. So for me, that is right around 125 grams of protein daily. But I think for a lot of people, when they are starting to increase protein or focus on protein, 125 grams is like just overwhelming. Really, really overwhelming. So in FLOW90, our target and our goal is just 100 grams a day, because that's from what I've seen with my health coaching clients, is 100 grams a day is a lot more beneficial than if you are getting 50 grams. It's a lot closer to the ideal, and it's a good step in the right direction. And the reason that protein is so valuable is protein is going to help you build muscle. Muscle is a great place for glucose to deposit. It is also going to satiate you longer. So the more protein you eat, kind of the more stable your blood sugar will stay. And it isn't something that's going to spike your blood sugar. So it is like a blood sugar neutral kind of energy source. So prioritizing protein is a huge one. And when I started doing this, I noticed my energy change immensely, hugely. So if you're in FLOW90 and you're like, I don't know how to increase my protein, let's like get in there and start talking about it. How can we increase protein? What are some of the meals? I share a lot of meals here on YouTube, like day in the life of eatings. I share a lot on my Instagram. I did a whole series of 30 grams of protein meals. So there's stuff out there, and I promise you it's gonna be easier than you think. So that's the protein one. Breakfast before coffee is another huge one. Caffeine can just immediately spike the system. It messes with blood sugar. Again, we have a whole podcast on caffeine and your hormones, and we talk a lot about blood sugar balance in that episode. So I will link that one below as well. But if we can get food in our system, and especially a savory breakfast, meaning a high protein breakfast, before we have the caffeine, that's going to spike our blood sugar less and affect cortisol levels way less. So for me, I don't like to eat first thing, but I do like my coffee first thing. So where I have settled with this is I do 2 scoops of my ProMix Whey Isolate protein, which is 30 grams of protein. First thing when I wake up, I just do it in water. I drink that with creatine as well, and then I have my coffee. So there is 30 grams of protein already in my stomach, and the system's already kind of like prepped and ready to go. Something is better than nothing. So that is the breakfast before coffee, really supportive to starting your day on the right foot, as well as kind of like breaking your nightly fast. It's a great way to just kind of like get the whole system back and going. Morning sunlight is one that is more for circadian rhythm and sleep, but sleep actually plays a huge role in our blood sugar regulation because of our digestive process that happens while we are sleeping. So if we can get a good night's rest and we're getting our REM sleep and our deep sleep and getting enough sleep, it is really beneficial to digestion and the overall blood sugar process. So morning sunlight in the eyes just helps us know it's time to wake up and sets our circadian rhythm. So that is just a good habit to have. If you can also do like watching the sunset or getting evening sunlight just before the sun goes down, then that's great. Actually, I'm going to add a habit on here that is also blood sugar related, which is no cell phone in bed, because that's also helping your sleep. So let's just add that one on here real quick too. A walk after a meal. If you've ever worn a CGM, a continuous glucose monitor, you might see those sometimes. They're like little devices that people have in the back of their arms. People with diabetes will wear them. I've actually worn one just to see how different foods affect my blood sugar and to be able to create strategies for specific foods, because I'm not someone who wants to avoid foods for these reasons, nothing like that. But if I can be smart about consuming them, then I think that is like, why wouldn't I? I'm not going to overthink it. and it doesn't have to be perfect all the time, but the more information, the better, I think. So a walk after a meal, when I was wearing a CGM, I could have a high carb meal and then go for a walk or like do 10 air squats, somehow just get my heart rate up a little bit and move my body. And the blood sugar spike or increase that would occur because I went on a walk was much less of a spike than if I hadn't gone on the walk. So walking after a meal is really, really great to help mellow the blood sugar rise and kind of like tamper it down. So if you can walk after every meal, amazing. But the goal in FLOW90 is just once a day. I like to do it after lunch. Usually I've been sitting for a lot of the day at my desk anyway, so I'm kind of ready to get out for some fresh air. If that means you like run around your house or you do some walking lunges, let's count it. But just some kind of movement after a meal can be super beneficial to also moving that glucose into the muscle as opposed to into the bloodstream. So a walk after a meal. Strength training. Strength training is a huge one because the more muscle we have, the more places we have to deposit glucose. And that's just going to be more beneficial than the sugars going into our bloodstream and again affecting the blood sugar roller coaster. So muscle is medicine and strength training is literally creating free medicine in our body. It is so beneficial. I think so many women are scared of muscle. They don't want to be bulky. They don't want to gain weight. But let me tell you, you're not going to get bulky. I lift as heavy as I possibly can. I wouldn't consider myself bulky. I have gained weight, but I've also like decreased my clothing size. So the number on the scale just doesn't matter. And it is so beneficial for our overall health that gaining muscle should be like glorified. It is better than any other kind of medicine. Okay, and the last one is taking a daily multivitamin. And the reason that I will say the PMS elixir specifically here in this instance is one nutrient that is really beneficial for blood sugar balance is magnesium, and the PMS elixir has 355 milligrams of magnesium, which is more than most like magnesium specific supplements, and it is a glycinate, so that is going to really help with the calming of the nervous system and is great for sleep. That's why I like to take the elixir at night, but magnesium is a great nutrient for maintaining blood sugar balance. So all of that said, that was a lot of information, but these are the reason that these habits done daily over time compound to create such amazing health and wealth and happiness for us. They aren't big. Not putting your cell phone in the bedroom is not a big habit. Just plug it in the kitchen. You can look at it when you make your coffee, but leave it out of the bedroom. Get a good night's sleep. Don't scroll all night. Like little things like that. How amazing does that sound to actually just like close your eyes at night and not be consumed by this screen? Or, you know, eating more protein. It's something that you probably are like, yeah, I know I need to do that. Okay, like where can we start? Can we add an egg to breakfast? Can we just put more chicken on our plate at night as opposed to more rice? So small tweaks can make a really, really big impact. And over time, that 1% change, that little habit implementation is going to reduce your symptoms and balance out your system and create so much longevity for you. I hope that this was helpful, and let me know down below in the comments if you have any questions, if you liked this kind of format of me just sharing information like this. And I will be back to share more about how these habits in FLOW90 are truly, truly benefiting and making a difference for your overall health, wealth, and happiness. All right, guys, don't forget to subscribe and we'll be back soon.